Hey everybody, Echo V here, and it's common knowledge that each and every Pokemon are based on various creatures, whether they be real or mythical. So much so that if there was ever a definitive Pokemon iceberg, this fact would be at the very tip of it. Yet, to this day, there are still some fans out there who often get the wrong idea, therefore making false assumptions about what the Pokemon is truly based on. So for this video, I'll be shedding some light on some of these Pokemon and what were the mythical creatures that really inspired them into existence. Anyways, here we go! Starting this video off with the Pokemon that made me want to make this video in the first place is Dunsparce. Now prior to Generation 9, fans have been clamoring for this little Pokemon to evolve. In particular, the main theme is common: dragons. So, when Dunsparce finally did evolve into the Dunsparce, fans were livid, disappointed that their favorite little worm didn't evolve into the dragon that they so wished for. And that never would have happened anyway, for Dunsparce is actually based on the Tsuchinoko. In Japanese folklore, the Tsuchinoko is a snake-like being known for speaking, particularly in telling lies, and having a taste for alcohol. Even if we did put into consideration Dunsparce's wings, it still wouldn't be a dragon because a winged serpent is known as the Amphitheater. That might sound like a dragon to you, but that's like saying that a cobra is a dragon. And let's be real, no one has ever said that in their lives. Soaring in next is the cover legendary for Pokemon Gold, Ho-Oh. And a lot of you know about the phoenix, right? The Greek mythological bird that dies in a burst of flames before it is rebirthed anew from its ashes. However, while Ho-Oh is indeed based on a phoenix, it is based on a different kind of phoenix, the Feng Wang from Chinese mythology. Although at first glance these two look similar, the key difference is that the Feng Wang is considered to be more colorful, and rather than symbolizing rebirth, the Feng Wang instead symbolizes union, as its name is a combination of the male Feng and the female Huang. This connection is further strengthened by the Feng Wang's Japanese name, Ho-Oh. In addition, the Feng Wang is commonly associated with dragons, and while its counterpart Lugia is obviously not a dragon, the fact that these two are counterparts at all further strengthen the origin. Swimming in next is the starter Pokemon, Primarina. Of course, we all know that besides being a sea lion, Primarina has elements of the mermaid. I really hope I don't need to tell you what a mermaid is. And while some say the siren as well, that's actually incorrect because in the actual myths, sirens are actually more bird-like than fish-like. Rather, let's look at its second origin, the Selkie from Scottish folklore. According to stories, Selkies are creatures that shapeshift between their seal and human forms by removing or putting on their seal suit only on certain nights. In most stories, Selkies are coerced into marriage when their skins are stolen. Classy, I know. But as a form of karma, these marriages are often unhappy because the Selkie longs for the sea and will escape should they ever find their seal skin. Well, that and envy assaulting children will have webbed hands. Whether that's a good or bad thing, you tell me. Flying next to the list is Altaria. Now, if you're just like me, you probably saw Altaria for the first time playing the Hoenn games, and you probably said to yourself along the lines of, "How is this a dragon?" Well, it turns out that Altaria's dragon typing makes sense, as it is based on the Peng from Chinese mythology. The Peng is a giant bird that can travel 3,000 Chinese miles in one flap using its cloud-like wings. Despite being based on a bird, the Peng are usually portrayed as having a fish's head and whiskers. If that doesn't convince you, then here's the Feilong. No, not that Feilong, this Feilong. The Feilong is a dragon also from Chinese mythology known for flying while riding on clouds. In Chinese mythology in general, dragons are always depicted associated with clouds because they believe dragons are able to create clouds with their breath. So if there's ever a Pokemon region based on China, I think we know a Pokemon who is definitely making the cut. Building its way next is the Ultra Beast Stakataka. Now, going to this video, I was really hoping that a couple of the Ultra Beasts would have mythological origins, but sadly, no. I mean, we have Jellyfish, Mosquito, Cockroach, and Origami Samurai. Now, of course, that's not true for all of them. I mean, Celesteela, for example, has a really neat origin story that I would love to dedicate its own video on. But in general, a lot of the Ultra Beasts are straightforward when it comes to their design and origin. And then here comes Stakataka. At first glance, Stakataka may just be a simple castle tower, no different than the rook in a game of chess, but Stakataka is actually based on two yokai. The first is the Mokumokuren. The Mokumokuren is a yokai that lives in walls such as Torn Shoji. The name of the yokai literally translates to many eyes. Talk about an eye catcher. As expected, the Mokumokuren is a regular resident of haunted houses. The second yokai is the Nurikabe. This yokai is yet another wall-like creature, typically depicted as a big, floppy-eared, three-eyed dog. The Nurikabe, on the other hand, is known for blocking travelers at night. How nice of them. Now, while none of Stakataka's entries reference blocking travelers, the fact that these two yokai are known to have multiple eyes, it's not hard to see how these two inspired Takataka. I've been wanting to use that for a while. Crawling and searing its way next is Centiskorch. While we all know that Centiskorch is based on the centipede, you know, those things that only daredevils keep as pets. Anyway, because of its overall design and Gigantamax form, Centiskorch seems to have the Omukade in mind as well. In Japanese folklore, the Omukade is a yokai and is essentially a giant colossal-sized centipede that lives in the mountains that eats humans because of course it does. But if it's any consolation, it also eats serpents and dragons, so that's new. Also, for some reason, it has a weakness to human saliva. Maybe that's why Centiskorch is part fire type. Spooking its way next is Misdreavus. This floating head of a Pokemon is based on the Nukekube, which is essentially a ghost with a detachable head that can fly freely. Fun fact, the Nukekube is actually a type of Rokurokubi. The difference being that the Rokurokubi instead stretches its neck much farther than Mr. Fantastic ever could. Anyway, as you expect, the Nukekube is your typical ghost. You know, attacking, blood drinking, and just biting in general because apparently all ghosts need to be jerks somehow. But on the bright side, if you destroy its body, it goes bye-bye. At first glance, Arbok may not be based on any mystical creature. I mean, like I established earlier, cobras aren't mystical. But then you take a look more into it and you notice a few things. First off, Arbok is in the dragon egg group. Nothing too out of the ordinary since most members are reptilian after all and snakes are reptiles. But then you look more into it and just like a lot of other snake-like Pokemon, Arbok can learn Glare. All of these traits points to Arbok to at least being partially inspired by the Basilisk. According to European legend, the Basilisk is created by a chicken egg that has been incubated by a toad. This serpentine-like reptile has a menacing glare that can unalive anyone that looks into it. In addition, the Basilisk has venom so toxic that could end anyone without a single bite. Its weakness is either the crowing of a rooster or a weasel. Now, while Arbok has no relation to the one chicken Pokemon in the games, at least that we know of so far, perhaps in the future, it will. When Legends Arceus was released, One of the starters was Cyndaquil, who evolved into Hisuian Typhlosion with the new Ghost typing. This new typing may very well be based on the Psychopomp, a being common in a lot of religion. According to most religion, Psychopomps are spirits whose main duty is to simply escort deceased souls into the afterlife. Everything else is handled by a different being. In addition, because of its fire typing, Hisuian Typhlosion draws more on the Ainu goddess Kamoihuchi, whose fire is said to be the gateway between the living world and the dead. And finally, we have the should've, would've, could've been a pseudo-legendary Aggron, who shares its inspiration with the Bulgasari from Korean mythology. According to the myths, Bulgasari would grow in size the more mel it eats, and was created by a Buddhist monk who was on the run from the law because at the time of the Goryeo era of Korea, Buddhism was illegal. And don't let Aggron's more draconic / dinosaur appearance fool you. It's still tied to the Bulgasari in some way, thanks to the creature's appearance in the 1985 film adaptation of the creature. The Bulgasari's meat-eating diet ties in well with the line's Pokédex entries where it mostly feeds on iron, so keep your car away if you ever see one. And that's it for this video. Crazy how many obscure mythological creatures are out there, and how many of them have been the hidden inspiration behind some of our favorite fictional creatures. Anyway, any obscure mythological creature that you think inspired a Pokemon, let me know in the comments below. Link to the artist in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. If it's your birthday today, then have a happy birthday. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone. Be good to each other.